The city glittered that night, a skyline drenched in gold light and champagne dreams. Music throbbed through marble halls, laughter rising like perfume. And for a few hours, everyone at the Rossi mansion believed in luxury, power, and lies. Amara didn't belong here. Her dress shimmered like midnight silk. But her eyes, those deep brown eyes, held something else. A hesitation, a quiet storm she tried to hide behind a polite smile. She wasn't born into this world of diamonds and secrets. She'd been invited, or maybe lured. Her friend Clara waved from across the crowd. "Amara, you made it!" Amara smiled faintly, clutching her glass. "Yeah, though I'm starting to regret it." She could feel eyes on her, cold, assessing, tracing the outline of a stranger who didn't fit, and among those eyes, one pair burned brighter than all the rest. At the top of the grand staircase stood Lorenzo De Luca, the man they called the Ghost King of the underworld. Black suit, black gaze, a man whose silence could make even the city hold its breath. He watched her. Not the way a man admires beauty, but the way a predator recognizes something familiar, something lost. Their eyes met. A second too long, a heartbeat too loud, and Amara's world tilted. The chandelier light fractured above her. The room spun. Laughter became echoes, music a distant storm. Her glass slipped from her hand and shattered across the marble floor. Someone shouted her name. Then everything went dark. When she woke, it wasn't noise she heard, but silence. The kind that feels alive. Soft fabric brushed against her skin. The scent of cedar and smoke filled her lungs. A faint heartbeat pulsed beneath her cheek, steady, strong, not her own. Her eyes fluttered open. She was in a dim room, firelight dancing on wooden walls, shadows stretching like ghosts, and holding her, arms firm and protective around her trembling body, was him. Lorenzo, the Mafia boss, the man whose name could silence a room, and he was looking at her as if the world had just shifted off its axis. "Easy," he murmured, voice low, rough with something between concern and control. "You're safe now." Amara blinked, confused, dazed. Where am I?" "My place," he said simply. His thumb brushed a strand of hair from her face, the gesture too gentle for someone known to be merciless. "You fainted at the party. They would have trampled you if I hadn't caught you." Her breath trembled. Why are you—" Before she could finish, he leaned closer, his lips near her ear, his voice a whisper that felt like a command carved into her heartbeat. "Ours." Just one word, and yet it carried possession, fear, fate. She froze, her pulse echoing that single syllable. "Ours?" she whispered, not sure if she wanted the answer. Lorenzo's eyes darkened, something ancient and familiar flickering within them. "You'll understand soon." He rose slowly, his arms reluctant to let her go. For a second, the world outside that room didn't exist. Just her trembling breath and his quiet claim. Amara tried to steady herself. But deep down, a truth she couldn't explain whispered back. Somehow this wasn't the first time she'd fallen into his arms. The crackle of fire filled the silence. Shadows from the flames flickered over Lorenzo's face. Sharp jawline, unreadable eyes, a scar just below his temple that told a story no one dared to ask about. He wasn't looking at her anymore. He was watching the fire, like a man at war with his own thoughts. Amara sat on the edge of the velvet couch, trying to make sense of what happened. Her heartbeat hadn't slowed since he whispered that single haunting word, "Ours." The room was massive, but heavy, as if every inch of it had seen things she couldn't imagine. There were portraits of men in black suits, family crests, and a faint smell of gunpowder beneath the wood smoke. She finally broke the silence. "Why am I here, Mr. Her voice trailed, unsure how to address a man like him. He glanced at her, that ghost of a smile touching his lips. "Lorenzo," he said quietly. "No one calls me Mr. Anything. Not anymore." His tone was final, a man used to being obeyed. But beneath it, there was a weariness that didn't match his power. She folded her hands, searching for composure. "You could have sent me home. You didn't have to bring me here." He turned to face her fully. "You fainted in a room full of vultures. Half of them wanted to know who you were. The other half wanted to make sure you didn't wake up." His gaze was steady, dark, protective, and terrifying. She frowned. What do you mean? Lorenzo took a slow breath and stepped closer. His voice dropped low, meant only for her ears. Someone drugged your drink, Amara. You weren't supposed to leave that party alive. The words hit like cold steel. Her throat tightened. That's impossible. Why would anyone— He cut her off. You really don't know, do you? His question carried something strange, almost disappointment. Like he expected her to remember something she didn't. I don't understand, she whispered. Lorenzo's jaw flexed. For a moment he looked away. To the window, where the city lights blinked like distant fires. Finally he said, There are debts that never die, and some names that don't stay buried. She stared at him. You think someone from your world— No, he interrupted. From yours. The fire popped between them, the only sound in the room. Her world? She wanted to laugh. She was just a journalist, struggling to keep her rent paid and her heart guarded. What world could she possibly have that crossed his? Lorenzo stepped forward again, and Amara instinctively leaned back. He stopped just inches away. The air between them grew tense, charged. I pulled you out because I recognize the look in your eyes, he said. I've seen it before. The night my mother was killed. Her breath caught. Why are you telling me this? Because, he said, voice rough with memory. Whoever wanted you gone is the same kind of monster who took her from me. He didn't blink, didn't move, just stood there, shadow and firelight turning him into something both human and myth. And for the first time, Amara didn't see the Mafia boss everyone feared. She saw the broken man beneath the legend, the one who carried ghosts in his silence. She whispered, What are you going to do? He smiled. Faint, dangerous, but laced with promise. Keep you alive, whether you want me to or not. Her pulse jumped. You don't even know me. Maybe not, he said softly, eyes narrowing. But I know what you mean to them. She shook her head. To who? He leaned closer again, his voice brushing against her skin like smoke. To the people who already think you're mine. She froze, eyes wide. What are you talking about? He didn't answer. He simply reached out, tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, and whispered again. This time slower, deeper, like a vow or a curse. Ours, Amara. It wasn't a word. It was a warning. The night outside had long died, but sleep never came to the DeLuca mansion. Wind whispered through the stone corridors, carrying faint echoes of the past, secrets that refused to rest. Amara sat on the edge of the massive bed, the weight of Lorenzo's words circling her mind like smoke. To the people who already think you're mine. Her heart still raced, but not just from fear anymore. Something else had rooted itself, an unease laced with curiosity. Who was this man who saved her life only to cage her in his mansion? The door creaked open. A woman in black stepped in, quiet but confident. She looked older, graceful, the kind of woman who'd seen too much and spoken too little. Signor DeLuca asked me to bring you breakfast, she said, placing a silver tray on the table. And to tell you, you're safe here. Safe? Amara murmured. In a house guarded like a prison? The woman hesitated, then leaned closer. Better a guarded house than an open grave, signorina. Before Amara could respond, the woman left, the heavy door clicking shut behind her. The words hung in the air, an open grave. Amara's chest tightened. Was she really that close to death last night? She stood, walked to the tall windows and pushed the curtains aside. The view below took her breath away. Sprawling gardens, iron gates, and beyond them, a forest of mist and shadows. The mansion wasn't just beautiful. It was isolated, hidden. A knock interrupted her thoughts. Lorenzo entered without waiting for permission. A black shirt, sleeves rolled up, faint bruises on his knuckles. The image of danger wrapped in quiet control. Good. You're awake. He moved toward her, his presence filling the room like gravity itself. Amara crossed her arms. You said someone tried to kill me. You said they drugged my drink. Fine. But why would they think I'm yours? He stopped just a few feet away, studying her face. You really don't remember, do you? She frowned. Remember what? He exhaled slowly, walked to the fireplace, and picked up a framed photograph from the mantel. He handed it to her. Inside the photo, a black and white picture, old and faded, was a man and a woman smiling. Between them, a little girl holding a toy violin. Amara's breath hitched. That's my mother. Lorenzo nodded. And the man beside her? Amara looked closer. Her lips parted. Your father? He nodded again, eyes locked on hers. They were friends, business partners once, until betrayal turned them into enemies. She shook her head, stepping back. No, that's not possible. My mother never— She did, he said quietly. She helped my father escape a deal that would have killed him. Then, when the family found out, they marked her name in blood. Amara's eyes filled with disbelief. You're saying my mother saved yours? I'm saying, he replied, that your mother died because of mine. The silence that followed was unbearable. Amara turned away, tears burning her eyes. You brought me here because you think I owe you some kind of debt. He took a slow step forward, voice soft but steady. No, I brought you here because the people who killed her, the same people who killed my mother, know you exist now. And they won't stop until you're gone too. Her knees weakened. So I'm bait? His expression darkened. No, you're the last piece of a war that never ended. She met his gaze again, anger and confusion battling inside her. And what am I supposed to do? Hide here? Pretend I belong in your world? He looked at her for a long moment, something unspoken flickering in his eyes. Pretend if you want, he said. But every war has a queen, Amara. You just don't know you're one yet. Her breath caught. His tone, his certainty, his nearness. He wasn't threatening her. He was warning her. And maybe, in some twisted way, protecting her too. The firelight flickered between them, gold against shadow. Finally, Amara whispered, You could have left me there. Why didn't you? Lorenzo's answer came without hesitation. Because the moment I saw you fall, I knew the past had come back to claim me. She blinked, caught in his gaze. And what does that mean? He leaned in, his voice barely above a whisper. It means, Amara, you weren't supposed to die that night. You were supposed to find me. The storm arrived before midnight, a slow, whispering wind that grew teeth. Lightning rolled across the hills beyond the DeLuca estate, and for a moment, the world outside the mansion's gates looked like a painting of chaos frozen in time. Amara stood by the window, arms wrapped around herself. She couldn't sleep, not after what Lorenzo told her. The idea that her mother had once been tied to the DeLuca family felt like a dream someone else had lived, not her. And yet, that photograph burned in her mind like proof carved into fate. Behind her, the door opened softly. Lorenzo's reflection appeared in the glass, dark, calm, commanding. He didn't knock anymore. He didn't need to. You should rest, he said quietly. I tried, she whispered. But rest doesn't come easy when you don't know who's waiting outside your window. His eyes lifted to the storm. That's why I have guards on every gate. That's supposed to make me feel safe? Her voice trembled. You said someone wanted me dead, Lorenzo, and you still won't tell me who. He stepped closer, the thunder folding around his words. Because I don't have proof yet, only instincts. And I learned the hard way. Instincts keep you alive longer than truth. She turned to face him, frustration burning beneath her fear. Then what am I to you? A secret to protect or a burden you regret saving? The question hit deeper than she knew. Lorenzo's jaw tensed. His eyes softened for just a heartbeat. Neither, he said finally. You're the only thing that's reminded me I'm still human. The words silenced her. Before she could answer, the lights flickered. Once. Twice. Then the entire room plunged into darkness. A sharp hum cut through the storm, the power line snapping somewhere outside. Lorenzo moved instantly. Stay here. He was gone before she could protest. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was thick, heavy, watching. Amara's breath quickened. She tried to steady herself, whispering, It's fine. It's just the storm. But deep down, something felt off. The air in the room was colder than it should have been. Then, a faint noise. Metal on glass. Her gaze shot to the window. Through the lightning flashes, she saw a silhouette move near the tree line. One figure, then two, dark shapes creeping toward the mansion. Her chest tightened. Lorenzo. She ran to the door. But before she reached it, it opened from the other side. He stood there, gun in hand, his shirt damp from the rain. They're here, he said, voice steady as steel. How? Because I told you. Instinct. He grabbed her wrist, pulling her behind him as they moved through the dark corridor. Each flash of lightning painted the hallway in blue-white light, like a strobe of danger. Downstairs, voices echoed. Sharp commands, footsteps, the sound of a door being forced. Who are they? She whispered. People who think I stole something from them, he said. And now they've come for you, because they think you're the key. The key to what? Your mother's last secret. They reached a narrow room at the end of the corridor. Lorenzo pushed her inside. It was lined with old furniture and hidden behind a false wall. He turned to her. Stay here. Don't make a sound. No, Lorenzo, you'll get killed. He smiled faintly, that same dangerous calm returning. Wouldn't be the first time they tried. She grabbed his arm before he could leave. You can't just... He paused. Her fingers trembled against his sleeve. The stormlight caught in her eyes, fear and something else shining beneath it. He leaned close, his breath brushing against her ear. If I don't come back, he whispered, follow the music room stairs. There's a tunnel that leads to the forest. She shook her head, voice breaking. You're not allowed to say if. His lips curved in the faintest smirk. Then say a prayer, Amara. I'll be back before the echo fades. And then he was gone. She pressed her ear to the wall, heart pounding with every sound beyond it. Gunshots cracked through the hallways, short, precise bursts. A scream. Silence. Then footsteps again. Slower this time. She waited, breath held, praying it was him. The door opened. Lorenzo stood there, rain dripping from his hair, blood streaking his forearm. His breathing was rough, but his eyes were clear. It's over, he said simply. For now. Amara ran to him before she could think, clutching his arm, her voice shaking. You're bleeding. It's nothing, he murmured. But his hands were already on her shoulders, grounding her. They weren't here for me. They were looking for something your mother left behind. Her eyes widened. What did she leave? Lorenzo looked past her, toward the shadows of the old mansion. A secret that can end the DeLuca bloodline. Or save it. Lightning flashed again. The mansion groaned in the wind. And somewhere, deep inside those walls, something old and dangerous waited to be found. Rain still whispered against the windows when dawn broke over the DeLuca estate. The storm had passed, but the silence it left behind felt uneasy, like the house itself was holding its breath. Amara sat on the couch, wrapped in a blanket, watching the fire struggle to stay alive. The smell of gunpowder still lingered faintly in the air. She hadn't slept. She couldn't. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the flashes of gunfire. And Lorenzo standing between her and death. He entered quietly, dressed in black again, sleeves rolled up, a thin bandage around his forearm. His presence filled the room before his voice did. Morning, he said, pouring himself coffee. Amara gave a tired laugh. Is that what we call it after a gunfight? He looked up, smirk faint but real. You get used to it. I hope I never do. He handed her a cup. The warmth seeped into her fingers. For a few seconds, they sat in silence, the kind that said everything words couldn't. Then she asked, what did they want, Lorenzo? What could possibly be so valuable? He set the cup down and reached inside his jacket. This. He unfolded a small piece of torn parchment, brittle with age, stained by time. On it, drawn in faint ink, was a strange symbol, a circle intersected by 3 lines, and at the bottom, a single word in her mother's handwriting. Vita. Amara touched the page with shaking fingers. This was my mother's? It was hidden behind the wall panel in the East Hall. My men found it after the shooting stopped. He paused. They weren't after you, Amara. They were after this. She looked up, confused. What does it mean? Vita means life in Italian, he said. But in my world, it means legacy. There's an old story in my family about a document that proves who betrayed the DeLuca name. Whoever holds it can destroy everything our enemies built. Amara frowned. And you think my mother had it? Lorenzo's gaze darkened. She didn't just have it. She hid it to protect both of us. The fire popped, sending sparks into the air. She turned away, whispering, You keep saying both of us, but I still don't understand why I matter in all this. He took a slow step toward her. Because she made you part of the promise. The night my mother died, your mother was there. She swore that if the truth ever resurfaced, her daughter would carry it. Amara's breath caught. That's impossible. I was barely born. He nodded. And yet, here you are, in the middle of a war she tried to bury. Her mind raced. So that's why someone tried to poison me? Because they think I know where this Vita secret is? Yes. His voice lowered. And now that they've failed, they'll come harder. Faster. Amara stood, her fear burning into anger. You're telling me my whole life was just a countdown to this? That my mother died for a secret I didn't even know existed? He stepped closer, eyes steady. You can run from it, or you can end it. The words hung between them, heavy, electric. Amara looked up at him, heart pounding. And if I stay? He didn't hesitate. Then you stay with me. The silence that followed was thick with meaning. Outside, thunder rolled again in the distance, like a promise that the storm hadn't truly passed. Finally, Amara whispered, "Show me where you found it." Lorenzo nodded. Come. He led her down a narrow hallway she hadn't seen before, walls lined with portraits and candle sconces. At the far end, one painting hung crooked, a woman in pearls and black lace. Lorenzo pushed it aside, revealing a hidden panel in the wall. This house was built with secrets, he said, sliding a small dagger into the crack. The panel creaked open, revealing a hollow space filled with dust and cobwebs. Inside lay an old violin case bound with leather straps. Amara frowned. A violin? Your mother played, he said. My father loved that sound. He said it reminded him that even monsters crave beauty. He unlatched the case. Inside wasn't a violin, but another envelope, sealed with crimson wax, bearing the same symbol as before. Amara reached for it, but Lorenzo caught her hand. Once you open this, there's no going back, he said quietly. She met his gaze. I stopped having a choice the moment I woke up in your arms. Slowly, she broke the seal. Inside were two things. A faded photograph of their mothers, standing beside a younger Lorenzo, and a single line written in her mother's hand. When truth finds you, trust only the heart that bleeds for yours. Amara's throat tightened. What does that mean? Lorenzo's expression turned grave. It means the person who killed them both is someone I once called family. The mansion felt colder that night. Shadows stretched long across the walls, whispering secrets only the DeLuca family knew. Amara followed Lorenzo through the corridors, her pulse matching the rhythm of his. Fast, steady, aware. He paused before a heavy oak door, carved with symbols she didn't recognize. This room, he said, voice low, holds the memory of the past, the blood that ties our families, and the oath I swore long ago. Amara looked at him, chest tight. Blood oath? He nodded. A promise to protect the DeLuca legacy, a vow to avenge those who betrayed us. His eyes softened, flickering in the firelight, and now it extends to you. Her hand brushed against his as he opened the door. A chill ran down her spine. Inside was a wall of photographs, letters, and old journals. Evidence of the lives and deaths that had shaped his family. The room smelled faintly of old paper and cedar, sacred and haunted. Your mother, she hid something here, he said, tracing a finger along a faded journal, something she hoped would survive time. Amara stepped closer. I don't know if I'm ready for this. He turned to her, voice softer now, almost a whisper. You're ready because you have to be, because leaving it behind would be like leaving the people we love to die again. Her gaze met his. The tension between them had grown unbearable. She saw not just the Mafia boss, but the man behind the legend, scarred, fierce, and aching in ways she never imagined. He reached for her hand. I swear, Amara, as long as I breathe, I'll protect you. I'll carry this burden so you don't have to bear it alone. Her breath hitched. Why me? You barely know me. I know enough, he said, stepping closer, the firelight painting his face in golden shadow. I know you're the one my mother trusted. That's enough, and now I trust you too. The room seemed to shrink around them, their fingers intertwined, warmth spreading through her like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. She wanted to pull away, to remind herself that danger still lurked outside, but she couldn't, not when his gaze held the promise of safety and something more. Amara, Lorenzo whispered, voice low, trembling only slightly. Whatever happens, whatever comes for us, you must remember this. I am yours as much as you are mine. That oath, it isn't just blood, it's heart. She swallowed hard, feeling the weight of his words press into her chest. Lorenzo, a sudden crash from downstairs shattered the moment. Adrenaline surged. Lorenzo's hand tightened around hers. They've returned, he said, voice steady but urgent. They'll stop at nothing to claim what your mother left behind. Amara's heart pounded, but a strange calm settled over her. Then we face it, together. He looked down at her, his eyes softening for a brief second, vulnerability flashing beneath the mask of control. Together, he agreed. The sound of footsteps echoed through the mansion, closer, faster. Lorenzo drew her into the shadows, moving like a ghost, every motion precise, protective. And in that quiet, fleeting moment between chaos and fear, Amara realized something terrifying and beautiful. She no longer wanted to hide. Not from him. Not from the danger. Not from the bond that had grown between them in just a few nights. As the enemy closed in, Lorenzo's lips brushed hers. A promise. A warning. A declaration. A blood oath sealed not in death, but in love. Even as the world outside the mansion threatened to crumble, inside that hidden room, they had each other. And for the first time since she arrived, Amara felt the strength to face whatever came next. Because some bonds aren't broken by fire, bullets, or betrayal. Some bonds are forged in the storm, in the blood, in the heartbeat of two souls who refused to let go. Night had fallen again, but the DeLuca mansion felt more alive than ever. Each shadow, each creak in the floorboards a whisper of imminent danger. Amara stayed close to Lorenzo as he moved silently through the hallways, the weight of the blood oath between them pressing on her chest like a promise she didn't yet fully understand. They won't wait for us to be ready, Lorenzo murmured, his voice low, almost reverent. They'll come for the secret, and they won't stop until they get it. Amara nodded, clutching the leather-bound journal her mother had left behind. Her fingers trembled, but her resolve was firm. Then we face them, she said. Together. He didn't smile. There was no time for that. But in his eyes she saw something warmer than fire. Trust. The first strike came without warning. A flash of movement across the main lawn. A low hum of engines, and then glass shattering downstairs. Lorenzo's hand was on her wrist in an instant, dragging her into the shadows behind the heavy drapes. They've breached the perimeter, he said, voice clipped. Stay behind me. Don't move until I tell you. Amara's heart raced, but she didn't flinch. She felt his calm determination like armor around her. And in that moment, she knew fear was useless without courage. Footsteps approached, deliberate, threatening. She could see them through the cracks of the curtains. 3 figures, masked, armed, moving like predators. Lorenzo stepped out first. One movement, silent, lethal. The first intruder never even drew a breath before he was disarmed, pinned against the wall by Lorenzo's strength and precision. Amara's pulse jumped. She had never seen anyone like him, both terrifying and awe-inspiring, the embodiment of control and chaos. 2 more came running. Lorenzo moved like liquid shadow, each strike exact, each motion protective. He blocked, pushed, disarmed, never losing sight of her. Amara, he shouted softly. Stay down. But she couldn't. Something inside her rose with the adrenaline, a surge of defiance and need. She moved to flank the intruders, clutching a heavy candlestick. One assailant lunged toward her, but Lorenzo intercepted, catching her just in time. No, he breathed, eyes blazing. Not yet. Not like this. Her chest heaved. I can help. You can survive, he said, voice low, close enough that she felt it in her bones. And that is enough. Another crash. A bullet ricocheted off the wall. Sparks flew. Amara's hands shook. But in the briefest pause between attacks, Lorenzo's gaze met hers. No words were needed, just 2 hearts, beating fast, tethered by trust, fear, and something dangerously close to love. In the chaos, he grabbed her hand, pulling her into a narrow hidden passage behind the bookshelves. They pressed against the wall, breath ragged, bodies close, Amara's fingers intertwined with his. "You always save me," she whispered. Lorenzo's lips brushed her hairline. "I will. Always." The sound of footsteps faded for the moment. Outside, the intruders regrouped, realizing they had underestimated the DeLuca mansion, and its heir, and the woman tied to its legacy. Amara leaned against him, heart pounding, chest pressed to his. "Why do I feel safe with you, even when they're right there?" He held her tighter, jaw brushing the top of her head. "Because danger isn't fear when you have someone worth protecting. And you are worth everything." The storm outside mirrored the storm inside her. Fear, excitement, and an undeniable pull she had never felt before. "Promise me," she whispered, voice trembling, "that no matter what, you'll come back to me." Lorenzo's grip tightened, eyes locking on hers with unspoken conviction. "Always. Ours is not just an oath. It's a promise." Lightning illuminated the passage for a brief second, showing their faces, hearts racing, breaths tangled, the world outside momentarily forgotten. And in that frozen instant, as the first strike of the enemy faded into silence, Amara realized survival was no longer enough. She didn't just want to live. She wanted him. All of him. The mansion groaned under the storm. The enemy regrouped outside, and yet inside that hidden passage, two souls clung to each other, stronger than fear, stronger than bullets, stronger than fate, because some bonds were forged not in safety, but in fire. Dawn was fragile, a pale light spilling across the mansion's polished floors. The storm had passed, leaving the air sharp and electric, like the tension between Amara and Lorenzo. They stood in the library, walls lined with ancient tomes and manuscripts. Lorenzo traced his fingers along the spines, eyes scanning as though the books themselves whispered secrets only he could hear. "Your mother," he said softly, "left more than just warnings. She left a path." Amara followed, heart pounding. A path to what? He stopped at a large, dust-covered globe in the corner. His hands moved over it, pressing a small latch she hadn't noticed. With a soft click, the globe rotated, revealing a hidden compartment. Inside lay a folded parchment, brittle and worn, marked with cryptic symbols, a map. Amara's breath caught. This is it, part of it," he said. "It leads to something she protected with her life, something someone would kill to reclaim." She leaned closer, tracing the faint lines with trembling fingers. "It's a map, but it doesn't say where it goes." "That's the point," Lorenzo murmured. "It's meant to be solved by someone who understands both our worlds, someone like you." Her eyes widened. "Me? Why me?" "Because your mother trusted you. She believed in your courage. And because you're already mine," he said, voice low, almost a whisper that made her stomach flutter. Amara's heart thumped. "Already yours?" He stepped closer, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "Yes. The night you fainted, it wasn't just fate. It was a signal. And now, you're part of something bigger than both of us." She swallowed, torn between fear and desire. "I don't know if I'm ready for this." "You don't have to be ready. You just have to be willing." Lightning from the distant storm flashed through the window, illuminating his face. Strong, determined, and dangerously close. Her breath caught. She felt the pull between them, electric and undeniable. Then a sound shattered the moment. A whisper, a soft creak from the hall. "Not again," she murmured, heart racing. Lorenzo grabbed her hand, pulling her behind the shelves. His gun was drawn, eyes scanning the room like a predator. "They're still here. They never stopped looking." Amara clutched the map tightly. "Who are they?" "People who think the DeLuca legacy belongs to them. They will stop at nothing to take it." His gaze softened for a fleeting second. "And they will only fail because of you. Because we're together." Her pulse quickened. She wanted to tell him how much she trusted him, how much she needed him, but words failed her. Instead, she let him guide her through the hidden passages, of the library, following the faint marks her mother had left behind. Each step drew them closer to the heart of the secret, and to each other. Finally, they reached a small, concealed alcove behind a tapestry. Inside, a chest rested, bound with iron straps. Lorenzo knelt, brushing away dust, revealing the intricate lock. "This," he whispered, "is where your mother's final warning begins." Amara's fingers hovered over the lock. She could feel the weight of history, danger, and destiny pressing down. "Together?" she asked softly. He nodded, his hand covering hers. Together, the lock clicked open, revealing a collection of letters, jewelry, and a small sealed envelope marked with the same crimson symbol as the map. Amara reached for it, fingers trembling. Lorenzo's eyes met hers, fierce, protective, and intimate. "Whatever's inside," he said quietly, "we face it as one." Her hand touched the envelope. Her heart pounded. And for the first time, the danger outside seemed secondary to the storm between them. The growing bond that threatened to consume them, yet grounded them in a way neither had expected. As they prepared to uncover the next piece of the mystery, lightning flashed again. Shadows danced across the walls, and Amara realized the map was only the beginning, and so was their story. The mansion lay quiet after the storm, but inside, the air was electric. Amara and Lorenzo stood in the hidden alcove, the envelope from her mother trembling in her hands, the weight of the secret pressed against them. But another force, heavier, more insistent, pressed too. The undeniable pull between them. Amara's fingers lingered over the envelope. I don't know if I should open this," she whispered. Lorenzo stepped closer, the space between them charged. "You have to. Secrets left behind don't stay buried forever." Her breath caught as his eyes met hers. They were dark, intense, and raw, revealing more than any words could. She felt it in her chest, a heartbeat that wasn't just her own. "Lorenzo," she began, voice trembling. "I don't know why, but I feel like I've known you longer than I should. And at the same time, it terrifies me." He reached out, gently tilting her chin up so their eyes locked. His hand was warm, grounding her amidst the chaos of the mansion and the storm raging outside. "Amara," he said softly, "you don't have to understand it. You just have to feel it. I've never met anyone like you, and His words faltered for the briefest moment. Then he whispered, "I can't stop thinking about you." Her chest tightened. "You mean, you care?" "I care," he admitted, his voice low, shaking with a mixture of intensity and vulnerability. "More than I thought I could care for anyone. And after everything, after the danger, after last night, I need you to know that." Amara's heart raced. She wanted to deny it, to pull back, but the truth was undeniable. I feel the same, even though it's reckless, even though it's dangerous." Her words trailed into a whisper, but her eyes said it all. He closed the distance between them, just inches apart, the world narrowing until only the two of them existed. "Dangerous doesn't scare me," he said, voice husky. "Not when it's you I'm risking everything for." Her breath hitched as their hands found each other, fingers entwining. The warmth of his touch grounded her, gave her courage, and at the same time, set her heart ablaze. Then, a sudden crash from the hallway shattered the moment. Both froze. The intruders were still out there, waiting, watching. Lorenzo's eyes darkened, fierce and protective. "Stay behind me," he said, drawing her close, his chest pressed against hers. "I won't let anything happen to you." Amara pressed her forehead against his. "I trust you," she whispered, voice barely audible. "And I trust you," he replied. His lips brushed her temple, a promise, a vow. "We'll face this together, Amara. All of it. The danger, the secrets, everything." Her heartbeat thrummed against his chest as lightning flashed through the window, illuminating the room in silver light. In that moment, nothing else mattered. The map, the envelope, the enemies outside. Only the bond they shared, raw and unspoken, yet undeniable. Finally, she opened the envelope with trembling hands. Inside were letters and a small key, along with another note in her mother's handwriting. Trust the one who stands with you in darkness. Only together can the past be survived. Lorenzo's gaze softened as he read over her shoulder. Your mother knew we'd find each other, he said quietly. She knew this was meant to be, that we'd be the ones to see it through. Amara looked up at him, eyes glistening. And us? Do we survive this? He pulled her into his arms fully, pressing his forehead to hers. We'll survive, he whispered. Because together, we're stronger than anything out there. And because I can't imagine surviving without you. Her lips trembled as she leaned into him. Neither can I. In the quiet of the hidden room, surrounded by shadows and the weight of history, their first confession hung in the air, fragile, dangerous, and breathtakingly real. Outside, the storm clouds began to disperse, but the danger hadn't left. Inside, however, a new storm had begun, one of emotion, trust, and love, forged in fire, fear, and shared destiny. Because in that moment, they weren't just allies. They were something more, something undeniable, something that would shape the rest of their story. Night had returned to the mansion, cloaking it in shadows and whispers. Amara sat with the map and letters spread before her, tracing her mother's handwriting with trembling fingers. Every line, every symbol pulsed with a dangerous promise. Lorenzo stood behind her, arms crossed, eyes scanning the windows and corridors. The weight of his presence made her heart race, both from safety and something deeper, something that tightened her chest whenever he was near. Suddenly, a soft noise echoed from the front gate, deliberate, controlled, terrifying. They're here, Lorenzo murmured, voice low, dangerous. Amara's pulse quickened. How do you know? He didn't answer with words. Instead, he drew her close, pressing a hand to her back. Trust me, he said, jaw tight. I've been waiting for this moment. Outside, a single figure emerged from the shadows. One person, moving like a predator, but with a familiarity that made Lorenzo's face harden. It's him, Lorenzo whispered. The one who orchestrated everything. Your mother's death, my family's betrayal, the attempt on your life at the party. Amara froze. Who? He's someone I once trusted. Someone I called family. His teeth clenched. And now he's come for you. Before she could respond, the door to the estate exploded inward. Wood splintered, shards flying as masked intruders rushed through the hall. Lorenzo acted instantly, pulling her behind a heavy table. His eyes were steel, his movements precise, deadly. Each strike he delivered was efficient, calculated, protecting her while dismantling the attackers with lethal grace. Amara's heart pounded, but she didn't move. She watched, breath caught, as the man who had haunted her mother's past appeared. Tall, imposing, and terrifyingly calm. Lorenzo's hand gripped hers. Stay with me, he said. No matter what happens, stay with me. The intruder's mask caught the firelight. Amara's stomach dropped. There was something familiar in the way he moved, the way he held himself. Her mind raced. Could this be? Lorenzo's gaze locked on the man. You shouldn't have come here, he growled. Not to my home. Not to her. The masked figure laughed softly. Lorenzo De Luca, still playing the hero. And the girl? You brought her into the fire willingly. Fascinating. Amara's fingers tightened on the letters in her hand. Why are you doing this? What do you want? The man tilted his head, a smirk hidden beneath the mask. The map. Your mother left it, and she underestimated me. But now, I will claim what is rightfully mine. Lorenzo stepped forward, shielding Amara. You will never touch her. Not while I breathe. The intruder's eyes glinted through the mask. I see. The bond is real. But love won't save her. And it won't save you either. A sudden clash erupted, the sound of fists, gunmetal, and shouts filling the hallway. Lorenzo moved like shadow and steel, pushing Amara to safety behind the grand staircase. Her chest heaved. I can't just stand here, she whispered, panic and fear mixing with adrenaline. He reached for her hand, eyes fierce yet soft. You will stand here. You are my shield and my heart. I need you alive. That's your role, Amara, trust me. Outside the chaos, a single truth became clear. The enemy knew everything. They knew the map, they knew her, and they knew how to strike fear into Lorenzo's heart. And yet, even in the terror, there was intimacy, a closeness born from shared danger, whispered promises, and the first confession they had made just hours before. Lorenzo caught a glimpse of her through the shadows. Amara, he said softly, voice low but commanding. No matter what happens tonight, remember this. You are mine. Ours is a bond stronger than blood, stronger than fear, and I will protect it. Protect you, with everything. Amara's tears blurred her vision, but she didn't flinch. I trust you, she whispered, her hand finding his in the chaos. The enemy faltered at the bond they couldn't break, a force beyond strategy, beyond power. And in that moment, Amara realized that the greatest weapon wasn't the map, the secret, or even Lorenzo's lethal skill. It was the unshakable bond between them, forged in fire, fear, and first love. Lightning flashed, illuminating the intruder's mask. Lorenzo's eyes narrowed. Tonight, he growled, you face me, and you will fail. The storm outside roared, the mansion trembled, and inside, two hearts beat in unison, ready to face the darkness together. The mansion groaned under the weight of the night. Rain had returned in sheets, rattling the windows and flooding the hallways with shadowed light. Amara and Lorenzo moved silently through the grand corridors. The letters and map pressed carefully against her chest. Every creak, every whisper of the wind heightened their awareness. The enemy was still out there, relentless, patient, calculating. Lorenzo. Amara's voice trembled. Where do we go now? We can't stay here forever. He glanced at her, eyes sharp, yet soft with an unspoken reassurance. There's a passage in the east wing, hidden. Your mother used it once. To protect something precious. Tonight it might protect us. Amara's heart pounded at the thought. Hidden passages, secrets, dangers, and him. Her pulse quickened, and she realized, with a shiver, that fear and desire were entwined in ways she hadn't expected. They reached the east wing. Lorenzo traced his fingers along the wall, tapping in a rhythm that made the stone shift. A section of the floorboard lifted, revealing a narrow, steep passage, dark and foreboding. This way, he whispered. Amara hesitated, peering into the blackness. It's dangerous. He placed a hand on her shoulder, warm and grounding. Yes, but together we're stronger than any danger outside. Remember? She nodded, gripping his arm as they descended. The air in the passage was damp and musty, carrying the scent of stone and secrets. Every step echoed, every heartbeat amplified in the tight space. At the bottom, the passage opened into a small chamber, hidden beneath the mansion. Candles flickered, illuminating walls covered in maps, letters, and relics from generations past. Amara's eyes widened. This is incredible. How did your family keep this hidden? Lorenzo didn't answer immediately. He was watching her, studying the way light and shadow danced across her face. His gaze softened, vulnerable and raw. You were meant to see this, he said quietly. Your mother wanted someone like you to understand the truth, to carry it forward, to survive it. And me, her breath caught. And us? He stepped closer, brushing a strand of hair from her face. Us is already written, Amara. In the letters, in the maps, in every moment we've shared since the party, in every heartbeat we can't ignore. Her fingers trembled as they touched, lingering. I can't believe how much I feel for you, she whispered. Even now, in the middle of all this danger, He silenced her with a soft brush of his lips to hers. The kiss was fleeting, tentative, yet charged with everything they had left unsaid. Desire, fear, trust, and a fragile hope. A sudden noise from above startled them. Dust fell from the ceiling as footsteps approached the hidden chamber. "They're here," Lorenzo said, voice low and commanding. "Get ready." Amara's hands tightened on the letters and map. "I'm not leaving your side." "Good," he said, eyes locking on hers, fierce and protective. "Because tonight, we face them together. Every secret, every danger, every heartbeat between us. Together." The enemy's shadow appeared at the entrance of the chamber. Lorenzo moved instinctively, pulling Amara behind him, every muscle taut with precision. "You shouldn't have come here," he growled, his gaze sharp, unflinching. The intruder's laugh echoed in the chamber. "Ah, Lorenzo De Luca, still pretending you're untouchable. And yet, here you are, protecting a girl who doesn't even know what's coming." Amara pressed herself to Lorenzo's chest. "I do now," she whispered, heart pounding. He kissed her forehead gently. "Then you understand. This is why I need you. Not just alive, but aware. Together, nothing can stop us." Lightning from above illuminated the chamber for a brief second. Shadows danced across their faces, highlighting fear, determination, and the growing, undeniable bond between them. The enemy hesitated, caught between strategy and the reality of facing someone unbreakable. A man bound by oath, and a woman bound by love and courage. Lorenzo gripped her hand tightly. "Whatever happens next, promise me you'll trust me." "I promise," she whispered, leaning into him. "Always." In that hidden passage beneath the mansion, surrounded by history, danger, and darkness, two hearts beat in unison. The first strike was over, but the war had only begun, and together they were unstoppable. The hidden passage opened into a small, circular chamber, the air thick with the scent of old paper and candle wax. Amara's eyes widened as she took in the room. Walls lined with portraits, letters, and objects that seemed to hum with the weight of history. This was the heart of the De Luca legacy, preserved in secret for generations. Lorenzo moved carefully, scanning the room for any threat. "This is where your mother hid her most important secrets," he said softly. "And where the truth begins." Amara stepped closer to a pedestal at the center of the room. On it rested a small, ornate box, sealed with crimson wax bearing the same symbol as the map. Her hands trembled as she reached for it. "Wait," Lorenzo murmured, placing a hand over hers. His eyes searched hers for hesitation, trust, and courage. "Once it's opened, there's no turning back." She met his gaze, heart pounding. I trust you." Together they lifted the lid. Inside lay a collection of letters, photographs, and a small, intricately carved locket. One letter, in her mother's handwriting, caught Amara's attention. "The blood of De Luca runs deep, but love can endure beyond death. Protect it. Protect him. Only together can the past be survived." Her breath caught. She looked up at Lorenzo, feeling the weight of the message and the depth of their shared destiny. "Together," she whispered. Lorenzo pulled her close, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "Always together," he said. His voice was low, fierce, and tender all at once. The moment of intimacy was broken by the soft echo of footsteps above. The enemy had followed them, relentless and determined. "We're not alone," Lorenzo said, voice tense but controlled. "They're coming. But now we know what they're after, and we can use it." Amara clutched the letters and locket to her chest. "Use it. How?" He guided her to the wall, revealing a hidden alcove behind a tapestry. "This chamber was built to protect secrets. We can control who finds them. We can protect everything, and everyone we love." Her heart swelled as she realized the magnitude of their bond, not just as allies, but as something more, something deeper. Suddenly the enemy forced the chamber door open. Shadows spilled into the room, weapons raised. Lorenzo moved like lightning, placing himself between Amara and the intruders. Each strike was precise, calculated, protective. Amara's fear was tempered by awe. She had never seen someone fight like this, not just with skill, but with absolute devotion. "You'll never touch her," he growled. "Not while I live." Amara's pulse quickened, and in the chaos, she reached out, finding his hand. Their fingers intertwined, a silent promise that neither would face the danger alone. The intruders faltered at the intensity of their bond. A love forged under threat, forged in fire and unbreakable. Lorenzo glanced at her. eyes softening for a brief moment amid the violence. "You are mine," he whispered. "And I am yours," her breath caught. "Always," she replied, leaning into him, trusting him completely. Lightning from the storm outside illuminated the chamber, casting fleeting shadows across their faces. In that instant, the world outside ceased to exist. There was only them, the secret, and the bond that would define everything to come. The intruders retreated, recognizing the futility of confronting a love so fierce and unyielding. Lorenzo held Amara close, heart beating against hers. "We've survived tonight," he murmured. "But the real danger, the real truth, is still ahead." Amara nodded, eyes glistening with tears and determination. "Then we face it together," she whispered. And in that hidden chamber, amidst the legacy of generations and the shadow of enemies, two hearts beat as one, ready for whatever came next, bound by love, courage, and an unbreakable promise. The mansion was silent, save for the soft patter of rain against the windows. Amara and Lorenzo stood in the secret chamber, hearts still racing from the night's previous attacks. The weight of the map, the letters, and the locket pressed heavily in Amara's hands, but something else, a creeping unease, pressed heavier. "Lorenzo," she whispered, voice trembling. "I can't shake the feeling that someone close to us isn't who they say they are." He tensed, eyes narrowing. "You mean inside the house?" She nodded. "Someone who's been guiding us, helping us, but maybe for their own purpose." A shadow flickered outside the chamber door. Both froze. Lorenzo drew her behind him, protective instinct sharp and immediate. The figure stepped into the candlelight. Familiar, trusted, and horrifying. It was one of Lorenzo's closest allies, someone who had been with him for years, someone he had considered family. And yet, their eyes were cold, calculating. "You," Lorenzo breathed, disbelief and fury warring in his tone. The ally smirked, a sinister edge cutting through the room. "Surprised? I hoped you'd figure it out before it was too late. But love makes people blind, doesn't it?" Amara's hand flew to her mouth. "Why? Why betray him? Why betray all of us?" The betrayer's laugh was soft, cruel. Power, revenge, and the thrill of watching the mighty fall. "You've been dancing in the shadows, thinking you could trust anyone. How adorable." Lorenzo stepped forward, hand gripping Amara's tightly. "You will pay for this, and you will answer for every life you've endangered." The betrayer tilted their head, almost amused. "Try me, DeLuca. Your love for her blinds you. That's your weakness, and I intend to exploit it." Amara's chest tightened. You would risk everything for selfishness?" The betrayer's gaze flicked to her, especially her. "She's your weakness, Lorenzo, and that's why she's mine to manipulate." Lorenzo's jaw clenched. No, not her. Not ever. The tension was electric. Every heartbeat, every whispered word, every breath seemed amplified. Amara could feel Lorenzo's determination, his protection, and the depth of his feelings for her radiating in every motion. "You think you can break us?" he growled, stepping in front of her. "You think you can destroy what my family fought for?" "You're wrong." The betrayer lunged and chaos erupted. Lorenzo moved like shadow and steel, intercepting attacks, shielding Amara, disarming the intruder with precision and controlled fury. Amara's fear flared, but she stayed close, holding the letters and map tightly. We can't let them win," she whispered. "Then don't move," Lorenzo said, eyes flashing with intensity. "Trust me, Amara. Every second, every heartbeat. Trust me." The betrayer faltered, realizing that their underestimation of Lorenzo and the bond he shared with Amara was a critical mistake. Amara's chest pressed to his back, heartbeat synchronized with his. "I trust you," she whispered, voice trembling with emotion. "And I will always protect you," he replied, brushing a kiss across the top of her head. "Always." Lightning illuminated the chamber, casting dramatic shadows across the three figures. In that flash, the betrayal was laid bare, but so was the unbreakable bond between them. Fear, danger, and deception surrounded them. But the love between Amara and Lorenzo shone brighter than any threat. Finally, the betrayer backed down, realizing the futility of their efforts, at least for now. But the seed of betrayal had been planted, a reminder that danger could come not just from enemies outside, but from the ones closest to them. Amara clutched Lorenzo's hand, tears threatening to fall. I don't know if I can ever trust anyone again." He held her close, voice low, steady, full of conviction. "Then trust me, trust us. That's all that matters. Together we can survive anything, even this." Outside, the storm began to calm, but the mansion remained heavy with tension. Within its walls, two hearts beat as one, stronger, more determined, and unbreakable in the face of deceit and danger. For in the shadows, love had proven itself the fiercest weapon of all. The night was alive with danger. Rain-slicked roads reflected the faint glow of distant streetlights as Amara clutched the map tightly, her knuckles white. Lorenzo's hand remained firm around hers, guiding her through the darkness. Every shadow seemed like an enemy, every whisper of wind a threat. "They're following us," Lorenzo said, voice low but controlled. His eyes scanned the perimeter, sharp, calculating. "They'll stop at nothing to get the map." "And to get you," Amara's heart pounded. "How do we escape them?" Lorenzo's jaw tightened. "We run, we hide, we survive, and no matter what, we stick together." They moved like shadows through the night, slipping through narrow alleys and abandoned buildings, each step bringing them closer to safety and danger. Amara's chest heaved, adrenaline surging, but she didn't let go of his hand. She couldn't. "You're incredible," she whispered, voice trembling. "I've never seen anyone move like you. Fight like you. Protect like you." He glanced at her, a fleeting smile brushing his lips despite the tension. "I only fight for what matters," he said softly. "And right now, that's you." Her breath caught, the words resonating deeper than she expected. "And I'm yours," she admitted, voice barely audible over the storm. "Always," he replied, pulling her closer as they darted into a narrow passage. The warmth of his body against hers was grounding, a shield against the chaos surrounding them. Ahead, the silhouette of a bridge appeared, faint light reflecting off the wet surface. "Almost there," Lorenzo whispered, determination etched into every line of his face. But the enemy was relentless. Figures emerged from the shadows, blocking their path, weapons raised. "Lorenzo!" Amara gasped, fear and defiance intertwining. He drew her behind him instantly, moving with lethal precision. The clash was fierce, punches, evasions, and swift disarms. Every strike he delivered was protective, precise, and merciless. Amara felt her heart race, but amidst the fear, there was an undeniable thrill, a bond forged in danger and trust. One of the attackers lunged toward her. Lorenzo intercepted, holding her close. "Stay behind me," he shouted. She pressed herself against him, heart pounding, and whispered, "I trust you. Always." His hand brushed her hair back, lips brushing her temple. "And I'll never let anything happen to you," he whispered, voice fierce and tender all at once. Lightning illuminated the bridge for a brief second, shadows dancing across their faces. In that moment, danger, fear, and the storm around them faded. Only the bond between them remained, unbreakable, undeniable, and fierce. They ran, hand in hand, through the rain-slicked streets, moving faster than the storm, faster than the enemies behind them. Each step was a declaration, each heartbeat a vow. Finally, they reached the outskirts of the city, where the forest loomed, dark, thick, and alive with possibility. Lorenzo pulled Amara into the shelter of the trees, pressing her against him. "We're not safe yet," he murmured. "But we're alive. Together." Her chest heaved, heart racing, but she smiled through the fear. "Together," she echoed. The night was still alive with threats, but for the first time, Amara felt something deeper than fear, a burning trust, a fragile hope, and a love that had grown stronger with every step, every heartbeat, every danger they had faced. And as the rain washed over them, the storm outside mirrored the storm within, chaotic, beautiful, and uncontainable, because together, Amara and Lorenzo had become unstoppable. The forest was silent except for the wind whispering through the trees. Amara and Lorenzo pressed forward, map and letters clutched tightly, every sense alert. Danger surrounded them, relentless and unforgiving, but the bond between them burned brighter than any fear. "They're close," Lorenzo murmured, voice low, tense. "We have to face them, here. There's no running left." Amara's heart pounded, chest tight. I don't want to lose you." He took her hands in his, eyes locking on hers. Then don't. Trust me. Trust us. That's all that matters. From the shadows emerged the enemy, the betrayer, and the intruders who had haunted them since the beginning. Their eyes were filled with malice, weapons drawn, but Lorenzo stepped forward with unflinching determination, shielding Amara. "You've run long enough," the betrayer hissed. "Hand over the map. Hand over her, or die." Lorenzo's jaw clenched. Not her. Not the map. Not tonight. Not ever. The fight erupted like a storm. Blades clashed, fists collided, and gunfire cracked through the night. Amara clung to Lorenzo, every instinct screaming fear, yet awe filled her heart. This was the man she loved, fighting with every ounce of his being to protect her. Amidst the chaos, one of the intruders lunged toward Amara. Lorenzo intercepted, pushing her to the ground and taking the hit himself. A sharp cry escaped his lips as blood blossomed across his chest. "No!" Amara screamed, rushing to him, tears blurring her vision. She pressed herself to him, feeling his heartbeat falter beneath her hands. Lorenzo gripped her face, forcing her to meet his gaze. "Amara, listen to me. The map, the letters, you have to take them. You have to survive. Promise me." Her tears fell freely. "And I can't leave you." "You must," he whispered, his breath ragged, eyes fierce despite the pain. "Survive. For both of us. Our bond. It's stronger than this. Stronger than me. Promise me, Amara." Her hands shook, but she nodded, pressing her lips to his. "I promise," she whispered, voice breaking. With a final, shuddering breath, Lorenzo pushed her gently back toward safety. "Go, now. Our love will endure," he gasped, a fleeting smile brushing his lips before the world around him erupted in chaos. Amara ran, clutching the map and letters, every step fueled by heartbreak and determination. Behind her the battle raged, and she knew he had given everything to protect her. Hours later, as dawn broke over the horizon, Amara emerged from the forest, battered but alive. The map and letters were safe. Lorenzo was gone. She fell to her knees, tears soaking the ground. Yet in her heart, a warmth lingered, a memory of his touch, his words, his love. Our bond, stronger than blood, stronger than fear, stronger than me. Amara pressed the letters to her chest, whispering to the wind, to the memory, to him. "I'll survive for us. I'll carry your love, our bond, forever." And even as the world outside remained dangerous and uncertain, a single truth endured. Love, once forged in fire and trust, could never be destroyed, not by enemies, not by death, not by time. Lorenzo had given everything for her, and she would honor him, because some bonds are eternal, and some love transcends even the greatest sacrifice. The forest was quiet once more. The storm had passed, but the memory of him and the love they shared would echo forever, tragic, beautiful, and unbreakable. If you felt every heartbeat, every danger, and every moment of love in Amara and Lorenzo's story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the bell so you never miss the next cinematic love story that will keep your heart racing. Remember, some bonds are eternal, and some love lives on forever, even in the darkest of nights. Stay with us, because the next story could be even more unforgettable.